Welcomes. Winishash in Kikinash. Mishayapatimki Wanichi Thomas Morning Owl. My name is Thomas Morning Owl. I work with the Education Department in the language program. Our tribes historically have had 3 independent languages that defined each of the communities. The Walla Wallas speak in the Walulapum language. The Cayuse speak in the Wailatpu language. The remaining language spoken on the Umatilla as of today is still the Umatilla language.
Inishwa Sasawipum. My grandmother gave me that name when I was 13, and my English name is Roberta Connor. I go by Bobby. I'm the director of Tamaslic Cultural Institute. Our ancestors in Chichima have always been from here. And by here, I mean what is now known as Northeast Oregon and Southeastern Washington. Our homeland really stretches from the Celilo Falls, from there all the way to the extent of the Snake River, which reaches what's now called Yellowstone, north to what is now the Okanagan country, and to the south, where our Tewelka, our enemies, the northern Paiute, Bannock, raiding bands threatened our well-being. From our people's perspective, the Creator gave us a fabulous place to live, a wonderful, lush, richly supplied homeland. And there are foods and resources at every elevation, from sea level to the mountain summits. They put their whole body and soul into gathering and processing, preserving, storing the foods so that when the difficult winter time came, when the world was at rest, we would be safe and warm and well fed in our homes. So we had a form of intergenerational wealth that in part was extinguished in a way by the treaty treating us as a collective body of 3 tribes affiliated for the convenience of the United States government.
My name is Matt Johnson. I'm director for the Umatilla Tribal Court in Wailatpu-Timt. My name is Ka'an Kinikt Maaman. The intent of the United States negotiators, Isaac I. Stevens and Joel Palmer, was for there to be only 2 reservations in the Northwest, and the Umatilla, Cayuse, and Walla Walla leaders, found that to be unacceptable and rejected that proposal. And the United States subsequently came back with an option of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. That resulted in the cession of 6.4 million acres of our traditional land base and the retention of about 510,000 acres. Through the subsequent survey that took place, a lot of that land was surveyed out of the reservation, which resulted in the reservation being about 170,000 acres today. The rights that we maintained were not something that were given to us by the United States. They were inherent rights that we possessed and that we continued to exercise from prior to the treaty and until afterwards. There are, a number of other articles in the treaty after Article 1, which describes the hunting and fishing and gathering and pasturing rights. Articles 2 through 4 describe a number of improvements that are to be made on the reservation. These include for purposes like education, hospital, other medical needs. Through the first half of the 1900s, again, this is still, a very uncertain time. In the 1940s, we began to organize and to develop our contemporary government. The people of the Umatilla, Cayuse, and Walla Walla did approve adoption of a tribal constitution. And this constitution in 1949 created the Board of Trustees, which is our current day 9-member board of elected leaders who have very broad authority for managing affairs of the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. The tribal constitution also recognized the creation of the General Council, which is the voting age population for the Umatilla tribe. However, the board does delegate significant authority to the executive director, the office of executive director, and then from there, the executive director, tasks individual departments with carrying out actions and then reporting back and seeking guidance from the board of trustees. That is sort of the way our, I guess you could say, checks and balances work for actions to be filtered up to the board of trustees for ultimate approval and deciding how to move forward on a whole range of topics, whether from land management to education to gaming and natural resources, obviously, and the first foods are a huge part of that.
The rights reserved in the Treaty of 1855 are the basis for the work the CTUIR does today. For some departments, that means protecting the environment and first foods. For others, it means providing services to people on the reservation or building the tribal economy. Some contribute by supporting the work of other departments. My name is
Marcus Luke, my Indian name is Aino, and I'm the housing director for Umatilla Tribes. After the Treaty of 1855, the establishment of the Constitution in 1949, the tribal government was established. And so housing was also essential. We're now HUD funded, and so we're able to provide housing for all incomes today. It's so vital to do that.
Inashwanisha Chuchutziu Hilakawan, Kushapo Timki Clarice Hustes. My name is Chuchutziu Hilakawan. My English name is Clarice Hustes. I work with the CTUIR language program with the education department. The goal for the language program is to create fluent speakers. I also get to work with youth, elders, and people my age that are learning the language who didn't know they could learn the language. I get the opportunity to practice my cultural treaty rights as a job.
Nick Maitsky, Inknash Waniksha Catherine Burke. My name is Catherine Burke, Interim Deputy Executive Director. Welcome to the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation Tribal Government. The Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation Tribal Government has over 500 employees. More than 50% are tribal members and other enrolled Indians. We are one of the largest employers with an annual budget of over $500 million. An overview of our tribal government includes the Office of the Executive Director and 18 departments who work to protect the lands, human life, water, air, and wildlife, and the protection of all these resources. We provide services both internally and externally to our community and its members. Our human capital investment is one of our priorities in achieving maximum self-sufficiency and to advance our economic sustainability and employment to achieve our overall goals and mission. Welcome to our NAMI Maimu.
One of the benefits with working for C2IR is our own belief system, meaning we have Tamanwit, we have our unwritten tribal laws. So when you work for C2IR, you are part of that. You are part of a sense of pride of Cayuse, Umatilla, and Walla. We're all the same. Like my aunt used to say, we all come from the same land. You are part of this land.
We hope that your work here will continue to this legacy of forward progress, remembering our tribal past, making a stronger presence, and then determining a rightful, strong, and independent future.
As someone who jumped straight into the workforce after high school, I think working with the tribe has been the best decision I've made in my life. There's unique jobs here that you might not have anywhere else, like working with the language or working with youth, like just specifically tribal youth, like that's an awesome opportunity. Or working with fisheries, that's cool. You got people that are working with our first foods policies and the program that works with our first foods, like that's unique.
So do you usually wait to cut around the neck until it's up? Or?
The Cayuse, Umatilla, and Walla Walla are very much living a way of life that has been handed down from generation to generation. And it is not a culture that can only be visited in a museum. It's a living culture. And our intent is that it will be living 100 and 200 years from today. And everyone who works for tribal government is helping make that happen.